If you're one of those people who feel like maybe you don't feel like celebrating, then this talk is for you. So let me ask you this. Did you know that 88% of people feel stressed about family gatherings during the holidays? And especially for divorced women, the stress often comes with additional layers. So layers of judgment, layers of intrusive questions, layers of emotional triggers. So it's no surprise that a lot of people approach the holiday season with a lot of dread. I know that used to be me. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to face the holiday season with confidence, how to handle awkward situations with grace, and how to rediscover joy during the season. Because again, 'tis the season to be jolly, so why not? You'll walk away with 3 powerful strategies to make this holiday and every other future one coming up a time of empowerment, a time of joy, rather than a time of stress. So who am I? Well, I'm Joan Nwosu, the elite dating coach for successful divorced women who want to become irresistibly magnetic so that they can meet and attract their soulmate. I've been in your shoes. I used to be there, and I've come over to the other side. And today I help women navigate the challenges of life after divorce and go ahead to create the beautiful life that they really desire, a life full of purpose, a life full of joy, a life full of alignment with what it is that they truly want for their lives. I remember the first Christmas, right, after my divorce. Oh my God, it was quite unforgettable, but not in a very, very good way. So my sister puts together this family dinners, which is always done every single year. I'm in Toronto, so I fly over to Houston for the family dinner party. So the first year right after my divorce, I'm there thinking that, okay, this is a place for me to come and have a good time because I've just been through a very, very difficult period in my life. And it wasn't quite that. The room was filled with lots of people I knew, familiar faces. Everybody was there in their jolly mood, but I felt completely alone. So I don't know if you've ever felt that, where you're in a group of people that are familiar, but you feel like an outsider. You feel like something has shifted. For me, there were lots of awkward stares. People kept looking, people kept whispering. There were lots of judgments. And of course, there were lots and lots and lots of unsolicited advice from people who thought that they knew me and they knew exactly what it was that I needed in that moment. Some people pitied me. Oh, I'm so sorry that you're alone now. Some people just blamed me to my face and said, how could you walk out of your marriage? Do you know how difficult it is to be married? Do you know how nobody else is enjoying their marriages? Why not just stay there? Right? And amidst all of this comments and intrusions and questions and just projections on me, one thing I noticed was that nobody really cared enough to ask me how I was doing. And that's all I really, really wanted. No one actually asked how I was coping and how I was navigating this very, very, very difficult and painful time in my life. And I felt completely by myself. I felt like, wow, why am I even here? But I got through that day. Fast forward to the next year, the next Christmas. I thought, again, family tradition, gotta show up, gotta attend this event. And now the conversation had shifted, but not for the better. Well, not for the better to me anyway. And now the focus wasn't so much on you left your marriage, or why did you get divorced, or why did you do this, or why did you do that. Now the focus was on, oh, so who are you dating? So are you getting married again? Have you met somebody you want to marry? You know you need to get married again. You know that the clock is ticking. You don't really have so much time on your hands. It was so much, I felt so much pressure. I felt like, geez, which is worse, the period where they were judging me and wanted explanations, or now this constant pressure to jump into the next marriage, like that would fix the problem, right? So again, I really felt a very awkward and difficult experience through those 2 Christmases. And I had to take time to reflect. I had to take time to really step back and really ask myself, is this really about me? But no, it was actually about them projecting their discomfort on me. And I decided this wasn't going to happen again. I was going to set some new boundaries. I was going to reclaim my truth and my voice, and I was going to find my own joy, because this is a season of joy, and I'll be damned if people are going to rob me of that. And that shift really changed everything for me. Now, fast forward to 2024, I will be going to a family dinner next week in Houston, but now I'm no longer dreading it. I have the tools in place to make sure that I approach this event without the terror and trepidation that I used to feel, and approach it from more an empowered standpoint, determined I'm going to have a freaking good time. So today I want to share with you 3 strategies that can help you. Let's jump into the first one. So the first one is overcoming emotional triggers. That first Christmas dinner, I was completely unaware that I had triggers. I didn't even know that I could be triggered by these things, right? Because like I said, I was going to this event thinking that, oh my God, I was going to break away from the last shitty year that I had, and now I was going to have a great time, and it was going to be light and playful. So I wasn't really ready for it, right? I wasn't prepared. I just showed up. Throughout the session or the event, I was maintaining my cool. People were saying whatever it was they were saying, and I kept maintaining my cool and smiling and pretending like everything was okay. But deep down inside, I was dying. Like, I was crying on the inside. I was like, oh my God, when is this night going to end? And things progressively got worse, because I think the more I was pretending to be okay, the more people thought they could poke and ask questions and make suggestions to me. And the final straw really happened when a cousin of mine, who's really close to me, so he knows me well, and he came to me and he said, you know what, I've been thinking about your divorce and you're leaving your marriage or whatever. And you know, if I'm going to be honest, Joan, I think it's because you're so stubborn. I think it's because you always think it has to be your way, right? I don't think you should have left that marriage. I think you're just too impatient. At that point, I couldn't take it anymore. I exploded. Maybe you can call it overreacting, but I just exploded. I just went off on him, and I just like, okay, I'm done with all of this. I'm going to my room. See you later. I'm done. And I just went to bed, cried in my pillow, watched some movies, drank maybe too much alcohol, and that was it. I was completely overwhelmed by that experience. So if I were to ask you, what are some moments or interactions that make the holidays most difficult for you? It's very important to recognize those triggers so that you can be better prepared to handle them. When you don't know what your triggers are, or when you haven't fully prepared for it, then you end up being in the situation that I was, where I was just completely like trying to guess and figure out, okay, what do I do? What do I answer? What do I ignore? How do I change things around? I just didn't have the tools to be able to navigate that event. So ask yourself, what are the things that trigger you, right? It could be things like social media posts. It could be things like family traditions, right? Like things like even wearing matching pajamas started to trigger me. I didn't even know that those would trigger me, right? So what are the things that trigger you? What are the conversations? Who are the people that trigger you? Because when you know these things, then you can be better prepared for how to handle them. And it's okay to replace some of these things. It's okay to replace some traditions that no longer serve you, and choose the ones that are more meaningful to you for where you are at this stage in your life, right? You can set new rules for yourself. You can set a new ritual for yourself. You can choose to no longer attend family events and decide you want to have dinner with your friends, which is what I actually did. So after the first 2 Christmases, I was like, leave me out of this stuff. I'm done. I'm never attending a family function ever again. And I started to host this yearly Christmas dinners. And it was really beautiful, because now it was something that I really enjoyed. I was having a good time with people that really cared about me, who were not there to figure out what's Joan's marital status now. Is she still suffering from her divorce? Has she moved on? Is she moving on? Who's she dating? It wasn't about that anymore. It was just friends coming together and having a good time and talking about the year and just having fun and having quite a few drinks. And that was great. And it really did bring me a lot of joy. So I want you to ask yourself, or to ponder, or to contemplate this. What are some of the changes that you can make for the holiday season, where you're recognizing the things that trigger you and deciding that you want to do something different? You don't want to put yourself in those situations, or you can be better prepared to handle those situations. The truth is, you can't really control others, So if you're in the space or you're around them or you're having conversations with them, you can't really control how people behave. But what you can control is how you respond to what they're saying, is how you respond to whether you want to be in their presence or not, and where you want to focus your energy. If you want that draining, judgmental energy, or you just want to go do what feels right and feels joyful for you. This is your season to be joyful, and you get to decide what that means for you, how you want to spend it, who you want to spend it with, and more importantly, what conversations you want to be having. So figure that out and go get it. I give you permission to have fun and choose to do the things that really bring you joy in this season. The second thing I want to talk about is handling awkward questions with grace. Because let's face it, those questions will always come up, especially at the Christmas holiday dinner. Maybe not Christmas, any other holiday celebrations that you're doing. Those dinner tables, there's always some relative who thinks they're a therapist, or for me, the second year, who thinks they're your new personal matchmaker. Yeah, sounds like fun, right? Yeah, no thanks. But that second Christmas where, the second year after my divorce, and I still braved having this Christmas dinner with my family and friends, another of my cousins, an older cousin now, more like an uncle, well-meaning, but, just unaware, decides to ask this question. So, Joan, question for you. Do you think you'll ever get back with your ex? I'm like seriously now? Do I have to now start defending my choices again? Do I have to justify my life? Are they not happy to see that now it's been almost 2 years and now I'm flourishing and taking care of myself? I'm living my dream life. Is that not good enough? Why do we always have to come back to these awkward questions? So, how do you currently respond to awkward questions? So if someone were to ask you, why are you single? Or are you going to get back with your ex? Which was a question that I was asked. Or how are the kids coping with the divorce? Or what are you going to do now with yourself? Like, some of those questions are very intrusive and very triggering. How would you answer those questions? Well, the key is preparing your responses, right? I learned how to de-escalate pretty quickly and just change the topic. And I will never talk about my ex in a negative way. I don't even go into details anymore. It's just that's in the past now, but let's talk about you. What are your plans for the rest of the holiday season? What are some newer resolutions that you're going to come up with this year? Like, what is your goal for 2025? Right, so being prepared with some questions where you don't feel like you need to explain anything because you don't really owe anybody any explanation, but just having some answers to really just end that conversation and move on to something more neutral, something more positive, and just letting it be. So that way you're not getting triggered, you're not being awkward yourself, you just, that's in my past, I'm living my best life, I'm focusing on myself now, do you know I just started a new business? Like, just moving on to a topic that is more neutral, more positive, and more empowering for you. Again, I want to point out, I fell into this trap, and I don't want you to fall into that trap too. This need to explain, where you feel like you need to justify your decisions. It's your decision in the first place, and you really don't owe anyone any explanation. You just need to move forward with your life. It has happened. If somebody chooses to pry in, just, hey, that's curious, or that's an interesting question, or just leave it at that and don't feel the need to explain yourself. Just keep it moving forward. Be graceful about it. Gracefully set your boundaries and protect your peace. And don't forget, the whole purpose of this is to be in a joyful mode this season. So the third piece I want to talk about is finding joy and gratitude in the present. And I think that this is the most important part of it. How do we find joy and gratitude in the middle of all of this chaos? I know that for me, that first year of my divorce was a very, very painful period for me. And after I had done the 2 years Christmases with my sister, wasn't having any luck with that, and I started to have the dinners with my friends. After a couple of years, I just wasn't in the mood. There was just one Christmas where I said, you know what, I just want to be by myself. I'd never been by myself during the holidays before, and this was the first time. So leading up to the day, I was good. But now, as the Christmas day loomed and it was getting closer, I started to panic. I started to be unsure of myself. I was like, well, wow, am I going to be by myself? Oh my God. I was single at that time, getting through yet another heartbreak. That's a story for another day. And for the first time in my life, I was by myself on Christmas Day. And so I woke up that morning and I was like, you know what? Why do I want to go through this self pity, this wallowing in this depressive state? It's the season to be jolly. Like, what the hell are you doing, Joan? Snap out of it. So I said, you know what? Today is going to be all about me. And I just been learning about creating vision boards. And I was like, you know what? Today is the day I'm going to create a new ritual for myself and I'm going to design a fabulous vision board for my next year. And so I took a shower, got dressed, put on my Christmas gear, and brought out all the magazines, brought out this huge vision board that I had bought. And I sat down to start putting together my vision board. I started to imagine the life that I wanted, the future that I wanted, and just really enjoying it, playing some music, sipping on some wine as always, and just enjoying that moment. It took me a lot of hours, but I felt so empowered. I felt so joyful. My heart was full. And I'm like, geez, it wasn't just a night about just dreaming and fantasizing. No, it was me reclaiming my power. I felt like I was becoming the author and the creator of my life. When I looked at that vision board, I was like, you got this, right? It was such a wonderful moment. There was no one for me to call and celebrate with because I'm sure everybody else was doing their Christmas dinners, but I felt good. I felt good all by myself. And that's what I want for you as well. So when was the last time you gave yourself the permission to truly enjoy the holiday season? Not for other people, but for you, right? And that's by really shifting your mindset from focusing on what's different now, what's missing, what don't I have? I don't have people, I don't have my family, I don't have this, I don't have this didn't happen this year, I lost this, I lost that. No, it's about shifting to more of an abundance mindset. Whereas, like, look, what's here right now? What am I grateful for? You've just come through a very, very, very traumatizing period of your life and you've come out even stronger. What can you be grateful for in this moment? Right? Really focusing on the little things, the big things, everything that has brought you so far. If you've had to move to a new house, a new city, whatever it is, just really focus on that moment of gratitude, and just spend time being grateful for all that you've come through, all the journey, the pain, the growth that you've been through to get to this point. Some of the other things that I started to do was I started volunteering. I'd never really volunteered before, but I was like, you know what? Let me spend the season giving. Like they say, giving is better than receiving. And it's so true, right? You can spend the season giving to other people, making other people smile, and you will find that you yourself will start to be joyful as well. You can choose you want to plan a trip. Who says you have to stay at home, right? You can just pack up and go to somewhere you've never been to and just have a great time. Or if you want to do what I did, just dedicate that day to a moment of self-reflection, of gratitude, and of creating the future that you want for yourself. Joy isn't something that you wait for. You don't say, oh, when this and this happens, then I'll be joyful. No. Joy is something that you create in the moment and you create intentionally. So how are you going to show up this holiday season? What is one way that you're going to include joy and gratitude and create that moment, that joyful moment for yourself where you're thriving, you're doing what it is that you love, you're surrounding yourself with the right people, and you're really, really bringing joy to not just you, but to the world as well. So those are the 3 tips I have for you. So today I showed you how to identify and overcome those emotional triggers that set you off, how to handle those awkward questions from family members with confidence and with grace so that you're no longer trying to hide or feeling small or feeling judged. No, now you're answering questions because you're prepared. And also how to rediscover joy and gratitude in the season, because that is what is important about this season. Really being grateful and creating the joy that you want and you deserve. These strategies are not just about, oh, let's just do it to feel good. No, this is about you taking back control of your narrative and creating a holiday season that really reflects who you are, that reflects your journey, that reflects how far you've come, right? So question for you, what is one thing that you're going to do differently this year? If, like me, you spent the first 2 years going through these dinners that were not so great, what are you choosing to let go of? What are you choosing to say no to? What boundaries are you going to be setting? What conversations are you going to remove from your conversations at the dinner table? What new things are you going to do to create joy in your life and in the life of others? What are you going to do differently this year? This is a season of joy, and I want it to be absolutely joyful for you. I want you to be smiling every day. I want you to be like, this was my best holiday season ever. And going forward, every season will be better than the previous one. So those are my thoughts for handling the holiday season so that it can be more joyful for you. If this resonated with you, and maybe you might be thinking, well, but Joan, you don't know my situation. Maybe if I told you my story, you would know that things are a little bit different. Well, if you would like some extra help on how to navigate the holiday season, I'm your person, reach out to me. Or maybe you're like, okay, how do I even navigate life after divorce? Right? I was married for so long, my marriage, my identity, being married is all I know, and now I don't even know how to move forward. I got you as well. Or maybe you're like, you know what, Joan, I've done the Christmas and holiday season by myself for a few years. I'm now ready to move on to dating. I'm now ready to attract the love of my life. I want to be that irresistible, magnetic woman who can finally meet and marry her soulmate. Well, I got you too. That is what I do with my clients. I help them to become the person that can attract the partner that really aligns with who they are, who aligns with the healed version of themselves, the people who now know what it is that they want, who are able to set the right boundaries, who know what their deal breakers are, who know what their core values are, and will not settle for anything less. You do not deserve to settle for anything less than what it is that you desire, and I can help you get that. So if you're ready to build a life of love, a life filled with joy, a life filled with an amazing partner, then look no further. I'm here to help you. Feel free to reach out. And just as a final disclosure, so this year, this Christmas I'm going for will be the first that I'm going for in the last couple of years. And this time around, I'm going with my partner. We've been together now for a couple of years, and it's just amazing. It's amazing to be able to celebrate the holiday season with people that you love. But again, celebrating it from an empowered state, not from a state where you're dreading whatever is going to come up. So if that's what you desire for your life as well, I can definitely help you get there. Well, that's it for me today. My name is Joan, the elite dating coach for successful women who want to be irresistible and attract their soulmates. Here is wishing you a happy holiday, wishing you lots of joy and lots of abundance in the new year.